Hallo und herzlich willkommen zurück zu einer weiteren Folge Chäos hat Noah. Beim letzten Mal wurden wir von Yua konfrontiert und sie hat herausgefunden, dass wir offenbar selber Shogun sind, also dass Takumi Nishijo offenbar mit sich selbst geschrieben hat und sich selbst die Bilder zugeschickt hat. Und jetzt haben wir gerade so eine kleine Rückblende, wie er als Kind war und dass er offenbar die Zukunft vorherahnen konnte oder kann und was das für Folgen für ihn hat. Due to his complete lack of talking, his mother took him to be seen in the psychiatry ward of the General Hospital, and there he was diagnosed with PTSD, post-traumatic syndrome. Since Takumi did not actually have PTSD or anything of the sort, he never once took his medicine. He merely pretended to. His partners never realized he was acting, and in the end he didn't feel even a hint of pity as they worried themselves, his parents, as they worried themselves sick over him. Everything felt like a lie. The world was filled with falsities. It was overflowing with malice. It was out to get me.
いつもあなたが使っているチャットルームへログインして自分で調べてみてください。私の言っていることが間違っていないってわかるはずです。それと私が言ったことは全部本心です。これだけは信じて。
Ich glaube nicht, dass er ihr traut. After bombarding me with her nonsensical theories, you had said that one last thing before she had left. There was no way I could believe her. How the hell was I supposed to believe someone that had been lying to me this entire time? I refused to believe that everything there was me. Like you had said. Everything she had said about me being Shogun was a total joke. I wanted to believe that. But when I checked the timestamps in the chat log, there was no mistaking that the conversation wasn't matching up.
僕は無遊病なの?
Problem was, during the time Shogun appeared to be posting in chat, I hadn't been sleeping at all. If I recall correctly, I had indeed been at Ed Cafe at that time, but I hadn't slept, so I couldn't have been sleepwalking. In that case, I wondered why I didn't have any memories of posting as Shogun. Maybe my body had been being controlled by someone else, which would mean... No, that's ridiculous. I felt that the best way to calm myself down was to escape from reality into the fictional world of Ezo. In Ezo, everything was fake, a lie, and at the end of the day, its world was just part of a video game. But in Besuch, I could become the godlike existence known as Neidhart. A fabrication like that, a lie like that, was something I would readily accept. I wanted to stay there. Nobody would mind if I did, would they? Or maybe, naja, Nanami würde schon. Zum Beispiel, the world of Ezo was actually the real world. And my own reality was the fake one, just a game. In that case, Nishijo Takumi would be a fictional character. And Neidhart would be my true form. Jetzt bist du langsam etwas...
Neidhart.
I called out to the paladin staying inside the monitor. Was I controlling you or were you controlling me? Which was it? Could you be real and I a mere avatar? What if the world I was in was just a game in and of itself? If that were true, that would solve every mystery I was struggling with. So ganz falsch ist das nicht. What if, just like how I was staring at Neidhart within my monitor, what if someone was staring at me in the exact same way? Dritte Wand, hallo, ich hau mal durch. Beziehungsweise vierte Wand. What would make them the player controlling me? That would make... If I did have someone controlling me, would it kill them to do less of a shit job? So I guess in others I couldn't really complain. It would also explain how Shogun and I could be the same person, validating that theory. Come to think of it, it was kind of like what Lieselotte was. Neidhart and Lieselotte couldn't possibly exist in Baselet at the same time. I was the only one playing as them after all. Maybe Shogun and Nishitsu Takumi were similar, and I couldn't exist in the world at the same time. It was also possible that it was a bug. Speaking of bugs, encountering that bizarre girl in a murder case, as well as a whole bunch of other stuff that happened, could have been bugs too. The image Shogun had sent to me flashed through my mind. I gripped my head with my hands and frantically shook it away. I wanted to run away from everything. If maybe, just maybe, there was a player controlling me. Please reset me already. Just remake my character and start from scratch, please. Nö, ich möchte dich nicht resetten. Ich mag dich so, wie du bist. The waiting room of the university hospital was filled to the brim with middle-aged people waiting to be examined. The view hadn't changed from a few years prior. It almost made me feel as if time itself had stopped there. Moreover, everyone there looked miserable, and the smell of disinfectant pervaded the stagnant air. It was the kind of place that sucked all the life out of you and made you wish for the sweet embrace of death in 5 minutes tops. I didn't like hospitals. The way the lobbies had countless people, yet the corridors beyond felt completely devoid of them, had always freaked me out, ever since I was a little kid. It almost felt like the corridors themselves absorbed and stewed in the stench of death. I always felt like that wasn't what a hospital truly represented, beyond its outer facade. I even thought that some horrifying creature was lying in wait deep within the corridors. That was why I really didn't want to go there, but there was something I had to make sure of no matter what. So I found myself reluctantly waiting my turn in line for an examination. Even when I had tried to fully immerse myself in ESO, the bombshell that Dua had dropped on me continued to swirl around and around inside my head, and I hadn't been able to concentrate for even a second. As a result, my mind had been torturing me with all the various possibilities all the way until morning, and I had become genuinely scared of something was wrong with me. That was why I went to hospital, to get an official stamp of approval from a medical professional that said Nishimo Takumi is completely normal. I wanted to prove that it wasn't me who was abnormal, but you are. I was used to coming to the hospital's psych ward, and yet when the girl at the reception asked, "Is this your first time?" I nodded without thinking. Ever since that bus accident, my mother had regularly taken me here for checkups. During middle school, my physician said that I had completely recovered, and I stopped going after that. This is my first time coming back in about 4.5 years. Komm, ich gehe mit Grün, habe ich ja gesagt. My first physician had been the new professor who was supposed to have some authority in the field, but I had only seen him a few times, and after that someone else had taken over, a student of his or something. Also, despite calling himself the other guy's student, he hadn't been particularly young. To be honest, he had looked pretty old. The night before, I was reminded of something that Dr. Takashina had said.
ここは病気や怪我だけじゃなくて心にも効く病院なんだよ。
I hated hospitals, but that doctor had been very nice. He had left a good impression on me, and I had thought he was a good person. Well, even then, I had still thoroughly fooled all the adults to the very end. This is except Dr. Takashina. He had seen through it all, and he was the one that had declared me completely recovered.
あの人に調べてもらえれば。
I wondered what he would say if he learned that I had become an otaku freak. Nah, there was no way he would remember me after all this time. It didn't take long for me to be called into the examination room. I had expected... das ist wieder dieses Verschwommene. Das heißt, wir sind wieder in einer Delusion. I'd expected to be waiting there for quite a while, but I guess I was wrong. Had there been so many people in the lobby, then maybe they were being paid to sit there just to make it look busy. It was a different examination room than the one from 4 years ago, but when I stepped inside, I was welcomed with a face I remembered dearly.
Yeah, Nishijo-kun.
Dr. Takashino rose to his feet with a familiar smile, then reached his hand out to me, realizing he was searching for a handshake. I hurriedly
また
retrieved
君に
it.
会えて嬉しいよ。いや、嬉しいというのは変かな。君にしてみれば、またここに来るというのは辛いことなわけだからね。
Despite it being 4 years since we had last seen it, he was incredibly friendly. My slight nervousness that I had been struggling with was eased in
そ
seconds.
れで、今日はどうしたんだい？
He gestured for me to sit down, so I did. Likely due to all the tension melting away, I told him everything about what had happened to me and what might happen to me in the future. I stumbled over my words many times, probably because I wasn't used to talking so much, but Dr. Takashino didn't rush me. He listened to me intently with a serious look on his face, while offering occasional interjections to make sure I knew he was following. Of course, I also told him everything about you and the demon girl. I considered that doing so might be dangerous, but right now he was the only person I could rely on.
結論から先に言おうか。
After hearing everything I had to say, Dr. pondered for a moment, then began to speak.
君は正常だよ。何の問題もない。
本当ですか？
もちろん。
Those were the words I wanted to hear more than anything. I dragged myself to the hospital for the sole purpose of hearing them. I was scared that he would tell me there was something wrong with me, and I had no idea what I would have done if he had. But getting checked out by Doc had been the right choice after all.
むしろおかしいのはその楠木さんという女性だね。西条くんの話だけで判断するのは難しいが、おそらくその女性は精神的な障害を患っているだろう。今後君に危険を及ぼすような行動に出る可能性がある。すぐに警察に通報しよう。
The police? True, that was probably the safest option. He was right, there had to be something wrong with Yor. She was batshit insane. The thought of her stalking me again sent shivers down my spine.
もちろん、僕も責任を持って君を保護するつもりだ。
Looking at me with a powerful, reassuring gaze, Dr. Sakashima clapped his hand on my shoulder, encouraging. He even handed me his business card, complete with his phone number.
何か問題が起きたらいつでも連絡をくれて構わないよ。24時間いつでも君のところに飛んでいくからね。
いいんですか？
当たり前だよ。僕は君の主治医なんだから。
I was on the verge of tears. I was truly grateful to be under his care from the bottom of my heart. Doctors as good as him were hard to find nowadays.
悪魔女のことについても通報した方が良さそうだね。西条君、君の見たその女がニュージェネの真犯人で間違いないよ。これはものすごい目撃証言だ。
Dr. Takashima seemed somewhat excited, but you couldn't tell from his tone. As always, he spoke calmly.
事件は西条君のおかげで解決だ。
Ich glaube
君は
nicht.
渋谷のヒーローだよ。僕はこの瞬間に立ち会えて実に光栄に思う。
Yeah, I was a... How die Mucke. I was a hero. This wasn't ESO. There was no way someone like me could be a hero. No way in hell. But when I imagined it, my face just about broke into a grin. Middle school girls, high school girls, college girls, MILFs, all of them would be screaming my name and how much they loved me. I will be renowned all over the world as one of the most charismatic people to ever live. Being a TV series sounded cool and all, but I didn't want to appear in front of people. So I would create a startup company instead. What the fuck? Then I would become a hugely charismatic boss making the big bucks. I would be surrounded by a harem of beautiful secretaries serving my every need. And of course I would trip all the facts and make them go crazy over me. Boy! Would have a high-rise apartment in Roppongi and hire a bunch of cute maids. It would be like my own personal maid cafe. Of course I would be indulging in the endlessly passionate lighty service. GK, just kidding.
まさに勝ち組。
Yep. Yeah. I abruptly came to my senses, only to find myself sitting on the sofa in the lobby. Unable to grasp what exactly was going on, I frantically looked around the room. Beside me was a hunched-over old lady, eyes covered in wrinkles, so I couldn't tell whether she was asleep or awake. I took a look at the clock above the reception desk and saw that I had been waiting in the lobby for a full hour. Had that all been just a dream? I hadn't slept last night, so I had dozed off while waiting. How glorious it would be if the dream was actually real. Talk about disappointing. In the end, I found myself waiting for another 2 hours before my name was finally called. When I entered the examination room, it almost felt like the same events I had seen in the dream were happening again. Dr. Takashina even appeared almost exactly like he had in the dream. It was probably just that he had barely changed since the last time I saw him 4 years ago. But this time he didn't rise from his seat, nor did he offer to shake my hand.
今日はどうしました？
And unlike the dream, he didn't seem especially happy to see me again.
西条です。
ん？ああ、これはご丁寧に。高階です。はじめまして。
He bowed his head cheerfully. I was lost for words. It's a pleasure to meet you. That was what he had just said. He had completely forgotten me. I shouldn't be surprised. It had been 4 years after all. But I had truly believed that Dr. Kanshima of all people would remember me. Maybe that was arrogant, but I had hoped for it all the same. So my heart was overwhelmed with loneliness and emptiness when those expectations were smashed to pieces. It felt like my very existence was being denied. Dr. Takashina started talking to me while making eye contact. But I averted my eyes.
無遊病かどうか調べてほしいと書いてあるが、何かあったのかな？
Right, I'd written that on the questionnaire, but it was all meaningless now. He didn't remember me at all.
別にいいじ
Oh,
ゃん。先
Sarah.
生が覚えてようが覚えてなかろうが関係ないっしょ。最初の目的を忘れちゃダメ。
Alright. I hadn't come here to meet Dr. Takashina. I'd come here to prove that I was a completely healthy and sane human being. Our reunion was merely a bonus. Who gives a shit if he had forgotten me? If Sarah-tan hadn't stepped in and given me that advice, I would have come dangerously close to losing sight of myself. Phew.
自分でも知らないうちに外に出かけててパソコンで文章打っててそれを全く覚えてないなんてありえますか？
おお。
知り合いからそう指摘されて混乱しちゃって。
その知り合いの人が冗談を言っているっていう可能性はあると思うかい？
Your eyes had been serious. It hadn't looked at all like she was messing with me. At the very least, I had no doubt that you believed what she
わかり
said.
ません。
なるほど。ちなみにその知り合いとはどういう関係だろう？恋人？
Where the hell had that come from, and what did it have to do with anything? Was I missing something here?
あ、いや、言い方が悪かったかな。じゃあ言い直そう。その知り合いの人は君が意識もないまま歩き回っているのを実際に目撃したのかな？
Oh, so that's what he meant. I shook my head.
じゃあ証拠はないわけだ。
I once again shook my head.
そいつ探偵気取りっていろいろ証拠を突きつけてきて。
うん、そういうことか。ちなみにこれまでにも無遊病の兆候はあったかい？
いえ。
朝目覚めたらいつものベッドじゃなくて違う場所で寝てたっていうことは過去に一度でもあった？
いえ。
じゃあその知り合いに言われたのが初めてっていうことだね。
After nodding weakly, I steadied myself and spoke.
僕、寝てないんです。
もしかして怖いのかな。でもそんなに深刻になる必要はないよ。
いや、その。
That's not what I meant. But I couldn't figure out how to explain it, and it was too late to say it out loud anymore. I was too flustered. After googling something on a medical form, Dr. Takashino swiveled away from me in his chair and leaned forward towards the back of the examination room.
葉月くん、ちょっと。
はい。
Ayo, sie. The young nurse rushed over to him, and Dr. Takashino showed her the form. As he did so, he whispered for her to do something, and she quickly withdrew to the back of the room. What had that been about? The doctor turned back toward my puzzled self. Then, in a gentle voice, he began to explain to me how sleepwalking worked. When a person falls asleep, they first begin non-REM sleep, before eventually progressing to REM sleep. Non-REM sleep is a deeper sleep where the brain hibernates and brain activity ceases. Meanwhile, REM sleep is a kind of sleep where the body is resting, but the brain is active in a state that's fairly close to being awake.
無遊病はノンレム睡眠の時に起きやすいって言われてる。脳が通常の活動をしていないから普通の受け答えとかは成立しにくいけど、ちゃんと返事もするし、階段などを踏み外さずに上り下りすることだってできる。原因としては精神的なストレスを抱えてる時になりやすいんだ。子供に多い症状だけど成人でもよくある症状なんだよ。これで分かっただろ。深刻になることはないって言った意味が。
But I hadn't been sleeping. Even though I hadn't been sleeping, I had still done things I didn't remember. The time Shogun had been posting from room 37 in the chat room should have been when I was busy playing ESO. Could sleepwalking really be possible there? I want to ask him that, but he was already moving to a different topic.
無遊病かどうかを調べる方法としてはいくつかある。一番手っ取り早いのはここのベッドで寝てもらうことだね。ただ特定条件じゃないと発生しない場合もあるかもしれない。例えば自分のベッドじゃないとダメとか。意識がない状態で出歩くにしても目的もなくふらふらと歩き続けるのか、それとも何らかの脅迫観念があってそれに影響されて何らかの一連の目的を持って出歩いているのか。それに君の精神状態についても特定の条件下じゃないとダメかもしれない。自宅のベッドの上ならリラックスできるけど、ここじゃリラックスのしようがないわけだ。どうする？とりあえず寝ていってみるかい？
I had nothing to lose, so I didn't see a reason not to try to. Soon after I proved I wasn't sleepwalking, I could try asking the real question I had in mind. The nurse from before, Hazuki-san or something, guided me over to the hospital bed located at the back of the room. As it wasn't a bed meant for sleeping, it was firm and uncomfortable. Then again, considering the sofa I usually slept on, that shouldn't pose any problems for me.
3時間くらいしたら起こしに来ますから。
The nurse was pretty damn cute. As I lied on the bed, I took a quick peek at her face while being careful to avoid eye contact. Her baby face made her look kind of unreliable, and she even had this almost despondent aura about her, but she was doing her job pretty well. She felt like a heroine right out of a classic eroge, one with kinky hospital sex movie.
できるだけ目は離さないようにしていますので、安心して眠ってくださいね。
Basically, if symptoms of sleeping occurred, like I started running around on my own, she would make sure to take care of me.
それではごゆっくり。
After giving a slight smile, the nurse closed the curtain and left the hospital room. Now surrounded by a pure white curtain, I took a deep breath. All around me, I could hear the voices of doctors examining patients, the sound of nurses running around, and the sound of the door to the examination room opening and closing. Yeah, I doubted I would be able to relax here. Could I actually fall asleep like this? Und weg bist du. Figuring I had nothing to lose, I closed my eyes. No matter what I did, my mind refused to think of anything other than the corpse that had been massacred and crucified with stakes, as well as the gory pictures Chauvin had sent me. So I forcibly conjured Saratan into my head. Komm, wieder. Wir gehen mit Grün.
外出嫌いなのに病院来るなんてすごい。私前から思ってたんだけどさ、タッキーって実はすごく強い男の子だよね。
Sarah animatedly moved about in my delusions. Her cute voice chirped for me.
私そんなタッキーの強さが好き。それにタッキーは無有病なんかじゃないよ。私毎日タッキーのこと見てるもん。だからわかるさ。三次元女になんか騙されちゃダメだぞ。タッキーには私がいるっしょ。またあのコンテナハウスで二人きりで過ごそうね。ボケなす。
You big dumb dumb. Free Saratan, you're so cute, Saratan. She really was my ideal waifu. There wasn't a single woman better than her. 3D? The fuck was that? Oof, I wanna go home already. I wanna go home and have Saratan welcome me back with a smile. Wait for me, okay, Saratan? I will be coming home soon. Mann. Armer Junge, was ist denn an der Klatsche? Zumindest zu einem gewissen Grad.
帰らなくてもいいよ。
どういうこと？
迎えに来たから。
An incredibly realistic whisper reached my ears. Ach, ich glaube, ich weiß, was jetzt kommt. It felt almost like something was poking my cheek. I slowly opened my eyes. Okay, nee, ich hatte was anderes. Ich hatte was anderes im Kopf gehabt, aber okay. Morning, you big dum-dum. Besides the best Saratan, pre-transformation Amanogawa Sarah version. And she certainly wasn't at 1/8 scale. She was life-sized and she was moving smoothly. With a gulp I sat up, then reached out to try and poke Saratan's breasts. They were squishy, voluptuous. She's no figure. She's the real deal. Saratan is shine in the realm of 3D.
No, no. ここは二次元だよ。
Right, it is, even though they are so squishy.
二次元的にプニプニなんさ。
Sorry. Das hat mich gekriegt. It's 2D squishiness, silly. Oh, das erinnert mich an die absolut geile Aktion aus dem Manga Hardgear. Ich glaube, ich glaube Hardgear heißt er. Ja, wo halt einfach mal Brüste, Brüste an einem Roboter als Impulsauffangkissen sozusagen bezeichnet wurden. Anders gesagt, wenn du dagegen schlägst, dann federn die halt den Impuls ab, den der Roboter abbekommt. Das ist so geil. Ich hoffe, dass der Manga irgendwann noch mal eine Serienumsetzung bekommt. Leider ist der Mangaka gesundheitlich angeschlagen. Der ist da aktuell auch wieder pausiert. It's too squishy, that's silly. Didn't get what you meant, but as long as they were squishy, It wasn't like anything else mattered. I realized I touched her breast out of sheer surprise and I rapidly grew embarrassed. The life-size Seraton was insanely cute, so more I could die. And most important of all, she was real. Naja, darüber lässt sich diskutieren. Thanks to that, the bashfulness that came from me touching her breasts and the fear of her potentially hating me for it had become much
ごめん
stronger.
セイラタン。
タッキーならいいよ。
本当？
他の人にはこんなことされるのは嫌だけどさ、特に進むとか、あいつに胸触られたら金棒で月までぶっ飛ばしちゃってる。静かに。声出すと看護師さんたちに見つかっちゃうっしょ。
Sveta must have been being mindful of the world outside the curtain. Without making a sound, she then took off her shoes, climbed onto the bed, and then on top of me. Almost saying something out loud again, I heard he covered my mouth. Sveta was straddling me. Her bare panties underneath her skirt were pressing against my crotch. This was bad. My Johnson was about to go berserk. Sarah drew her face close to mine. A sweet aroma filtered into my nose, so that was how Sarah Tan smelled.
タッキーも二次元になっちゃうべきだよ。
Alter, what's that supposed to mean?
タッキーはまだ三次元なんさ。だから私が二次元にしてあげる。
Anders gesagt, du möchtest ihn flatten?
いいっしょ。
Ich weiß nicht, ob das so gesundheitlich optimal ist für ihn, wenn du ihn platt machst. Can you really
でき
do
るよ。
that?
それにすっごく気持ちいいよ。
What the fuck, I could hear the sound of nurses hurriedly walking about as well as the voices of doctors examining other patients. We were in a place separated only by a single curtain. In that curtain were opened, we would get found out for sure. That heart-pounding thought combined with the taboo nature of doing something like this in a hospital, I was getting lightheaded. And to think I was committing such obscene acts with my number one waifu, so this is what bliss is. All the other thoughts had been pushed out of my mind. And so in response to everything Sarah Tan said, I nodded.
そうこなくっちゃ。そんなタッキーが好き。
Ich hoffe, dass die Delusion gleich mal rum ist, weil dann würde ich nämlich auch die Folge beenden, sonst Sarah Tan firmly pressed her lips against mine. She was so soft. Was this in the softness of 2D? Was it more soft than the real thing? The sudden borderline edge scene turned my shorts into pure spaghetti. I had no idea what the hell I should be doing. Then in the face of my bewilderment, Sarah Tan pushed her tongue between my lips, encroaching upon my mouth. It felt so good. I started to feel dizzy. To think a kiss would feel this amazing. I wanted her seductive, swirling tongue to violate my mouth forever. What the fuck, Junge? My arms wrapped around her waist. She was very thin, since she was 2D and all, flat as a board, yet squishy and voluptuous at the same time. Wasn't this basically the same as kissing paper, though, but it felt so incredibly good that I didn't care. Sarah Tan was terror sexy. Sarah Tan sucked in my tongue. It was too much. It felt like I was gonna die. It was starting to get painful now. Sarah Tan's suction was frighteningly strong. I tried pulling my tongue back, but I couldn't. She just sucked it even more. She was pulling on it hard, so hard that it felt like it might rip off. And it wasn't just my tongue. The inside of my throat felt taut. My eyes felt like they were going to pop out of their sockets. I couldn't breathe. My chest hurt. The inside of my stomach churned and churned, turning into a pulpy, sopping mess. I was being sucked in. Everything inside my body, my organs, my flesh, my bones, they were all being sucked in by Seraton. I could feel my pounding heart rising up from my throat, the thick blood vessels tearing off one by one. It was an impossible sensation. It was incomprehensible painful, and yet it felt even more pleasurable. My entire body had become an erogenous zone. Yes, my entire body. Not just the outside. But the inside of my throat, my heart, my blood vessels, my lungs, my intestines. Having serotonin violets inside of my body suck it all in the whirlpool, it made me so happy. And that happiness and the sheer ecstasy I was feeling, it made me feel faint. I'm gonna die. It felt so good, I'm gonna die. After everything inside my body had been sucked out, Seraton poured her lips over satisfied mouth was dripping with a mix of blood and drool. She gave a bewitching smile. I didn't have the energy to respond yet, taking everything I had. It was the first time I had ever experienced such overwhelming pleasure. I was in a total haze. Fog enshrouded my consciousness and my thoughts were a blur. Also, I was very unsteady. I tried to get off the bed and stand up. My body has become thin just like Seraton's. It was kind of hard to walk around. My body felt limp and I could hardly stand. I fell to my hands and knees, hitting the floor without a sound. Seraton, I can't get up. Give me a hand here. My voice came from above the bed. Schön. Schön unsere Klatsche. Aber naja gut. An dem Punkt würde ich sagen, beende ich dann jetzt mal diese Folge. Vielen Dank fürs Zuschauen und bis zum nächsten Mal.